Hey, my name is Antoan Henderson, and I'm doing a speech on cost of living. In the audience, I have my cousin Saris, cousin Javars, my cousin Lasia, my wife, Krishana, my aunt Paulette. Imagine living in a city where gas costs only 25 cents per gallon. The price of buying a brand new luxury SUV only costs $15,000. Your life is much more lavish than your best friend in a different state, even though you both make $100,000 each year. Are you wondering why life is so different between you two? It's all based on cost of living. It varies across the United States. I live in Georgia, but I make the same amount of money each month as my best friend in California. We have a comparable amount of monthly expenses, but I usually have much more money to put in my savings account at the end of each month. Since I was curious to know why our lives were so different, I decided to research this intriguing topic. This undeniable difference, known as cost of living, is a familiar term, but it's not always understood. I would like to tell you all about how and why cost of living works. I will tell you how living expenses vary between region and how income has a high effect on cost of living. Cost of living has evolved over time. As regions grew and became more popular, the expenses grew also. Income amounts determine expenses, and it has an effect on the cost of living. According to Lithuanian professor Devania Kurikane in the Regional Studies of Living Standards and Methodological Approaches, the cost of living standards is analyzed by the income for household consumption and the supply of material goods. For example, two people who live in different regions but has equal incomes may not spend the same amount for some material goods. Buying seafood in landlocked states would be considerably higher than buying seafood from a coastal area. Since the supply is much higher in the coastal area, the cost will be minimized due to lack of shipping costs. Since you now have an understanding of the concept of cost of living, let's discuss living expenses by regions. Each region of our country has varying levels of supply and demand. Supply and demand impacts prices. According to Cornell University professor Wayne Vermain, in cost of living, escalators, and price wages linkages in the United States economy, there is a direct link between price changes. It is caused by either supply shifts or demand disturbances. The amount of money you may pay for any given item is all based on demand for that item. In some regions, demand may be low and the supply is high, so the prices are less. The same item may cost more in a region where the supply is low, but there is significantly greater demand. When prices are higher in one region, you will spend more money than a person who can get the same item for cheaper in another region. Some people may think it's easier to just have the item shipped to them. While it's true, the item can be shipped, you will still pay higher prices because shipping costs must be incurred. Now that we have talked about living expenses by region, let's discuss income by location. Household income vary by location, and it is impacted by the number of people in the household that must be supported by the income. Based on the findings by Lawrence Mitchell in the State of America, the cost of living is based on the number of children in each family. Just because a family has more children does not mean that their cost of living is automatically higher. Their consumption of goods can be lessened in some areas to balance the income. The availability of resources impact household income. The production of goods and services has an impact on the cost of those goods. In turn, workers are paid based on the demand for those items. In conclusion, we have discussed the differences in the cost of living. By location, now that we have the differences in the cost of living by region, we understand the equal income does not equate to equal living in various regions of the United States. Even though we only discuss the cost of living in the United States, we can generalize this information to other parts of the world. Like anybody, I want to make the most out of my money by spending it wisely. When I walk in the grocery store and see the fluctuating prices, I avoid choosing those expensive items based on supply and demand. It surely feels good to get what I want by finding other alternatives and saving my money simultaneously.